welcome back to the Saloon presented by Cisco. I'm your 49ers team reporter, Briana Jeannel, sitting down with Brooke Evans, our digital editor, and we're talking all things draft because we're exactly 1 week away from day one of the 2026 NFL draft. We've got a lot of fun stuff for the faithful this week because we've got a guy who is 1 year removed from hearing his name called on draft day, and it's our defensive lineman, CJ West. He's joining us in the studio to give advice to this upcoming class, to talk about his year one in the league and everything he's learned as a rookie. And we're going to hear some fun stuff from him. And we're also going to hear from an expert of both the college football and NFL worlds, Laura Rutledge. She's going to share all of her expertise as we work our way to draft day because she's going to be covering it live on ESPN in Pittsburgh. So a lot of fun as we get closer and closer.
So much fun ahead. And we get to see our 49ers guys back in the facilities just 1 week from today. So a lot of fun things coming up. But Bree, you just finished rounding up your 7th mock draft, getting all the experts and analysts' opinions from around the league. Any new trends you've seen kind of emerge from this past week?
Yeah, definitely a huge trend. 6 of the last 7 analysts I gathered have the 49ers taking an offensive lineman at number 27.
Wow.
6 of the last 7.
A lot, yeah.
Now, 4 of those 6 are pointing towards the same exact guy, and that's offensive tackle Caleb Lomu out of Utah. Now, if you've been seeing his name circulating around the internet and seeing his name connected to the 49ers as we get closer to day one, here are a few reasons why analysts think that Caleb Lomu and the 49ers are a great fit at number 27. So they see it as a long-term solution for the left side of the 49ers O-line. John Lynch talked about it from the Combine at the NFL League meetings up until now, that there's an open spot at left guard with Spencer Burford leaving in free agency and going over to the Raiders. And so that there's going to be a competition there. And perhaps a rookie could slot in and take that. So there's definitely going to be a lot of motion, definitely a position you want to track as we work our way up to week 1. But they see him as maybe slotting in there at left guard and graduating to left tackle once he gets the reps under his belt. Now, he has been a starter over at Utah, protecting that blind side for 2 seasons now, and he didn't allow any sacks in 2025.
Wow.
A reason why the analysts out there are pointing him towards the 49ers at 27. They think he's a great fit there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you spoke on that gap because Spencer had left during free agency, and other analysts have also predicted Caden Proctor as someone that could possibly fill that gap. And because we're talking to SEC Nation host herself, Laura, I think we should keep kind of the SEC theme running.
That's a good thing.
Right?
Let's talk SEC today.
Let's do it. So Caden Proctor, O-line out of Alabama, just bringing up more of the O-line and who can really fill that spot. A lot of people have talked about him potentially coming to the 49ers mock drafts, Fox Sports, The Athletic, CBS Sports. He was 1 of 7 FBS tackles to earn an 80-plus PFF grade in pass blocking and in run blocking in 2025. Nick from The Athletic said, quote, "The most physically impressive human in this draft class. Proctor, he's 6'7", 352 pounds, has a rare body control for his size. He has all-pro potential." And then Rob from Fox Sports said, "Proctor's an ideal spot at guard, and with the 49ers losing Spencer in free agency, you never know." So lots of fun things. Other guys that we can look forward to seeing and names that we've been seeing circling for the 49ers mock drafts that are SEC guys. We have Jeremy Bernard, a wide receiver out of Alabama. We've seen him a lot in the most recent drafts. He was actually in your most recent draft as a round 2 pick. We have Jalen Farmer, an offensive guard out of Kentucky. Keldrick Folk, an edge out of Auburn, which is funny. We were just talking about this. Edges were a lot more prominent in the earlier mock drafts. Analysts were loving the edge pick for the 49ers. That has definitely changed as time has gone on. And then other guys we got Caleb Banks, a D-line from Florida, and then Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, an offensive tackle. So just some SEC guys to keep your names and eyes on. Looking forward to seeing what Laura has to say more on some of these guys.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the fun thing with mock draft season is that it's all a guessing game for analysts across the country, for us in-house, to just make this, see where the right fits are and predict what could the 2026 roster look like with some rookies in the building. So nothing is set in stone. That's the fun part of mock drafts. We could talk about D-line one week, talk about O-line the next week. Who knows, maybe in the following week, we've got wide receiver on our mind, safety. You never know, but that's all the fun part about mock draft season. So let's take it over to Laura Rutledge right now. Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with y'all.
We're excited to have you. So let's just jump right into it. You were just at the combine, so were we. It was a great experience out in Indianapolis, but you were getting one-on-one time with these prospects, getting to talk to these young guys, literally going through that process. Was there something that stood out to you about these young guys and how they're handling this moment?
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about this class, and especially the top of the class, is just the confidence amongst these guys. Spending some time with Fernando Mendoza, who was there, and obviously he didn't even work out at the combine. He was waiting for his pro day to put everybody on notice of just why he should be the number one overall pick. But hearing him talk about some of the things he's been working on, and then, he worked on a lot even after that, right? And we saw some of that play out at his pro day. Jeremiah Love, having no hesitation in saying that he's the best player in this draft. And I think it's really cool to think about welcoming these guys into the NFL and knowing that confidence and just the skill set that some teams are going to get. It makes me just love this time of year. And the combine is truly, I know I'm probably a big nerd, but the combine is one of my absolute favorite events. It's always so fun. Like, you watch these guys play in college and you know what some of them are capable of. And then a guy like Sonny Styles, who was a favorite of mine to cover, goes out and absolutely dominates the combine and impresses everybody in a way that, you think they can, but then when they actually do it and it's sort of expected even in their own minds, it's really fun to watch it all happen.
Yeah, we fully agree. It was a really cool experience to be out there.
All of the best college football players in one building, and you get to see them do skills and drills, which is uncommon during a regular college football season. Now, I want to ask you about the 49ers first-round pick from last year, defensive lineman Mykel Williams out of Georgia. His rookie season was unfortunately cut short due to injury, but what are the upsides of him coming back in year two, and how could he really change this defensive line?
Yeah, I'm excited for Mykel. He's one of my favorite players to cover in college. And really anybody that comes from that Georgia defense, you know that they're pretty much pro ready. I mean, Kirby Smart coaches them in a way that is unparalleled to other coaches. And I think if you've ever been to a Kirby Smart practice, you know that whatever happens to them at the NFL level, it's going to be harder, right? Because it's the NFL, but they're mentally going to be ready for so much of it. And I know Mykel was disappointed that his season was cut short, but I think he was an exceptional pick by the 49ers. And look, I mean, as y'all know, they need help on the D line. So I expect him to have a pretty big impact. And I think with that 27th overall pick, they'll probably go D line there too. There's some great options for them that I think will still be there at 27. So to think about some of the firepower that they can add along with Williams, obviously who they took last year, I'm a big fan of his. And I think he may have a little bit more to prove even than he did coming in, just because you never want to see that happen where you get injured. And just unfortunately, I mean, the 49ers were blasted with injuries last season. As we all know, that was a big reason why they didn't go as far as they could, and why a lot of people were so impressed that they even made it as far as they did, considering how many people were on the bench at that point.
Definitely. We're excited to see him come back as well. But given that you are the queen of the SEC and you have all of your knowledge when it comes to SEC players and prospects, when you're looking at specifically SEC prospects, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what traits tend to translate the best into the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's just the week in, week out competition of the SEC. And look, I know there's some, and I get it. There's some Big Ten people out there that are like, no, look at us. We keep winning the national championship. And I hear you. The Big Ten's great too. But what I don't think the Big Ten has yet in relation to the SEC, I'm going to get people all riled up with this if y'all put this anywhere. But the SEC, week in and week out, the competition is so difficult. There's not really a drop off. In years past, even you would say, okay, maybe you take on a South Carolina or a Vandy. No offense to those teams, but maybe in the past 8 years or so, you would say that's an easier week. Not anymore. We've seen these teams make a run and be incredibly difficult and actually play spoiler a lot of times. That's why I think a lot of these SEC squads haven't, been able to advance as far as maybe their team would be capable of in a different structure. The playoff just hasn't lent itself to that. But we're seeing some of the best coaches, but also just, again, that competition, you never can take plays off. You can't have a mental lapse or physical lapse in the Southeastern Conference. And I think that's what does prepare these guys to be ready for the NFL level in a way that, you really wouldn't find other places. And it is why, we see so much of the SEC drafted so high. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, I think it only continues as competition continues to get stronger in the SEC, but also beyond in college football and maybe even as the playoff expands. So I think it's exciting actually from the NFL perspective because it's better in so many ways, obviously, to have these guys a little bit more pro ready when they get to the pros.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you speak on competition. We have some SEC players that are on this 49ers roster that you've now seen in the SEC and now in the NFL world. Like, we have a Mac Jones, won a national championship with Alabama. We just talked about Michael. What do you see that maybe there's a difference in the way that they're prepared to come to the NFL? And do you remember covering them back in their college days?
Ricky Pearsall is another
Ricky,
one.
Yeah,
It's a great, and Ricky obviously, has been injured a little bit more than he, I'm sure, would like to be. But when he's been healthy, you see so much of the potential. And I loved covering him at Florida. I mean, here's the thing. At that point in time, there really wasn't, there weren't many other bright spots on those Florida teams. And Ricky Pearsall, it didn't matter what was going on. He always found a way to elevate the offense, which I think is really special. But yeah, having covered all of the players that you mentioned, it's really cool to see them have success for a team that I think is just well thought of across all of the pros. The way that Shanahan coaches this team, the way that, continually, that the 49ers are just going to be part of the conversation when it comes to the postseason, when it comes to contenders, at the NFL level. I mean, geez, like I mentioned, with all the injuries last year, it's remarkable how far this team made it. And it is such a credit to not only the coaching, but also to these players. Mac Jones is a personal favorite of mine. Actually just saw him recently at a charity event. And, look, I know the 49ers would love to hold on to him. It's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But he was great stepping in and filling the shoes of Brock Purdy. It's really hard to fill Brock Purdy's shoes. Right. So I think there's a great, SEC pipeline to the 49ers. And there's actually some players that I believe would be great picks for the 49ers, even in later rounds after 27. If they continue to win, I think at 27, Akeem Mesidor is going to be there. You would know that there's going to be some big names on the D line, but maybe later on, Caleb Banks out of Florida might be a good pick for them in later rounds if he's still there. I think they could actually end up really fortifying the D line in a big way in the early to mid rounds of this draft.
I've got a prospect for you. Texas A&M edge rusher Cassius Howell, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. We talked about him with Matt Mayoko from NBC Sports Bay Area on last week's podcast episode. But I want to know what you know about him and how he'd fit into this defense under Raheem Morris.
He's tenacious. And Raheem, I think really looks for that type of player. It's not just, the skill set's phenomenal. That's why he was the SEC Defense Player of the Year. It's why he was a big piece of how that A&M team made the playoff run that they did. I wish they could have gone further, but he's a force to be reckoned with. And I think he's an instant impact type guy. Some of these guys, you say, okay, you see a ton of potential and it may take a little bit of time. I think Cassius, the second that he gets out there, is going to be ready to go. And he just has that motor that, as a defensive coach, you would love. So I would imagine that Raheem will have his eyes on Cassius Howell and what he brings to the table. And he's another one. Like I said, Akeem Mesidor should be there. Cassius Howell should be there at 27. You got to grab those guys up if you can, and especially knowing that that's a position of need for San Francisco.
Yeah. I love a little bit of Laura playing the GM. It's a fun game.
I wish I could. Nobody will ever hire me as a GM, and that's totally okay. If they're going to hire somebody, they should hire me and a Kimes. But I do love thinking about it that way, and I'm fascinated by just the construction of teams. I think it's just so interesting, the decisions that have to be made, even real time, in the draft room. Yeah. If one of those guys goes earlier than some people expect, then, they've obviously done their due diligence on all these other players, but it changes the whole strategy. It's so fun to think about.
Definitely. A lot of strategy going on there. But now looking at just an overall kind of overview of this draft class coming in, more of a fun question. Who do you think is going to come out of this that's going to be your guy? Someone that every fan is going to love, not necessarily the best player, but just a personality that fans are going to absolutely love.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick another Texas A&M player, Casey Concepcion. It's a really talented wide receiver draft. There's so many players that you can even get in later rounds that are going to be impact players. And I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of like who starts to take receivers, because I think people know that. So we may see early on I would guess, a little more of a line-heavy draft, getting some O linemen, some of these D linemen, some of these just really impressive defensive guys, maybe these cornerbacks like Dramad McCoy and Mansour Delane, out of LSU.
Yeah.
But anyway, Casey Concepcion, I got distracted. I got excited about that. But Concepcion is just an exceptional player, right? But he also has this great personality, and I think he handles himself so well. There were some critics, I'm sure you guys saw this at the Combine, that were criticizing the way that he speaks. And he came out and was just like, yeah, no, I've dealt with a stutter my whole life, and I've tried not to let it hold me back. And I think just seeing his bravery in that, he could have easily said, hey, I'm not comfortable doing media. And I'm sure that the NFL would have said, that's okay. We're not going to let you do it. But instead, he stood there and answered all the questions. And I think he's a really special person. So I'm excited to see how he sort of embraces this next phase of life. And then, aside from just the human, which makes him fun to watch, he's an incredible talent. So that's another guy too. You draft him, he's going to be a big piece of your offense early on.
And we love the wide receivers out of Texas A&M. We got a few here on our team now.
Casey Concepcion.
Mike Evans.
Yes, Mike Evans.
Casey Concepcion's been mocked a few times to the 49ers at 27, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But as someone who lives in both worlds, both college football and in the NFL draft is a unique time where both of those worlds are colliding. And I want to hear from you what makes the NFL draft so special. It seems as no team truly loses, and every team walks away with hope, and every college football player is seeing their dream come true on live television. So to you, Laura, what makes this event so special?
I think what you just said there, the dreams coming true. Sometimes we all lose sight of that, right? And that's okay. We're talking about football. We're talking about, okay, like how is my team going to be better next year? And it becomes a little transactional. And I don't even blame people for that. We all sort of like become guilty of it. And then it's always worth this refresher of, oh my goodness, this is so rare that a player would experience this. It's so hard to get to the NFL. The NFL is the tip of the top of all mountains in sports. And the fact that these players are going to hear their names called, whether it's in the first round and they get to walk across the stage and, hug the commissioner, or it's in later rounds and they're at home with their family, or maybe they've like taken a walk and they're thinking they're not going to get drafted, and then all of a sudden they get that call. There's so many different ways I think that dreams can come true, and it's a life-changing moment for them and for their families. And I don't know, sometimes you think about now too, like being a mom, I'm like, oh my goodness, imagine your child going through that and being there and witnessing it, or just knowing that, all of that work, and you never know what it's taken to get to that point. So I just think it's such a special night, special few nights, right? And it's always such a privilege to be there. I've had the incredible honor of being in the green room with the families the last few years when their sons get drafted, and the emotion of that room, it gives me chills just to talk about, and just seeing the way that everyone reacts, and even some that know, their son or their relative, however they're related to the prospect, is going in the top 5 or something. They all still react with this incredible emotion, and I always think that that should not be overlooked in what this whole thing means. And it's a spectacle that, really is special this time of year.
Laura, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of your expertise. We can't wait to see you live next week covering it all. Best of luck.
It's crazy. It's almost here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great one. What's up, Faithful? We're sitting down with CJ West, who's joining us in the studio. CJ, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Pleasure to be here. I'm great, man. All season's been great.
Happy to have you.
Yeah, it's been a year since you were drafted. Since draft day, how has your life changed?
Man, tremendously. A lot of new things, a lot of new experiences, new people I'm around. Playing football at the highest level. Couldn't ask for more. I'm truly blessed.
I love that. And how has that last year been for you? I know you've been saying it was a long season, and but you came out with 12 solo tackles, 21 total, and your first sack. What a great accomplishment from you. Like, what are your thoughts on the last season?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you said, it was long coming from college, straight into the combine, training for all that stuff.
Right.
To this season, going into playoffs, deep playoff run. It was long, but I would say I learned a lot. I gained a lot of experience. I got, playoff experience. got some awesome vets that I was around. So like it was amazing. So I couldn't ask for more. It was just a great experience, and I just learned every game throughout the season. The longer the season, I just learned and got better.
And only going to get more better, right? As
For
you
sure.
go on, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. We're looking forward to seeing you in your sophomore season. Now, as you walked in, we were chatting it up a little bit, and you're like, I just came from a workout. So tell us what your off season has been like. What are you up to, and how do you reflect on such a crazy rookie year?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely sat myself down a little bit. A lot of people go
As
to
you
travel.
should.
A lot of people go to travel, but I'm just like, just with a long year that I have, I just need to sit down and relax. Get my breath, get my feet back under me. And just relax and cross my T's and dot my I's. That's really all it is. But I went to a beautiful place. I went up to Tahoe.
Okay.
Checked that out. Checked out Tahoe. Local places down to Carmel. But I'm honestly just grinding. Like I want to get better. That's the biggest thing. I want to get better. I want to continue to prove everybody wrong and just show the fans that hey, I'm a dog and I'm here to stay. So that's the goal.
Yeah, let's talk about the draft and how amazing it is for a player to finally see their dreams come to life when they hear their name called during the draft. So you came in as a D-line pick last year, and the team is drafting again. And we see a lot of D-line projections as we look at the mock drafts, and analysts start predicting who the 49ers might take. But as a man inside the trenches, what kind of player do you think this defense could benefit from? What kind of traits do you see in a guy?
For sure. Somebody who hustles and runs to the ball, who doesn't care what the circumstance is, who's going to ball out. That's what this defense needs. That's the team's culture. What I'm saying? That's kind of what's been built here over the years, and that's what's going to continue to stay like. And, our standard is very high. Someone who upholds, who can handle that standard and uphold it to the highest of their ability and just come out here and ball. That's what we need. We need dogs. So.
Dogs.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love the dogs. What was the biggest adjustment for you walking into an NFL D-line room? Was it, the speed, the technicality, or was it more of like the mental side of things? What was that biggest adjustment?
Yeah, for sure. Number one was the speed of the game. It's completely different.
Right. Yeah.
The way we practice, the way we watch film, the way we, take notes, it's all completely different. And and then when you get to the league, it's so much more technical. Everybody's good.
Right.
So everybody's good. Everybody's professional. So, the attention to details is so much more important than it was in college. Sometimes you can get away with bad steps or, your eyes being off, but not in the league. Now, if you do that, you're messing up the play. You miss out on plays, and it might not be your best snap. So just the attention to details is what the biggest difference is in the speed of the game.
Yeah. How are you adjusting to that? Are you, coming in and studying, those steps? Or are you just getting the reps in? Or what is the big thing for you?
Yeah,
or
for
how
sure.
You're adjusting?
Like studying, you got unlimited film to your use. So you got to use that film and see what works for you and find people who kind of mimic your play style, who's similar to you, and just study them and see what makes them successful in the league. And also put your own swag into it. Just do some of your own things. And then experience also, just getting more snaps, more reps, practice reps, watching your practice reps. That all matters into making you better and preparing yourself for game day.
Yeah. Anyone specifically that you've found that kind of is like you want to be like? Anyone you're looking at?
DJ Jones, man.
Okay.
I feel like we're very alike, and what we do. We have very similar body frames, very similar play styles. He played himself under this scheme and under this administration. So, that's somebody who I've kind of modeled my game after, and just want to continue to grow pretty much. So that's what we've been doing.
The faithful loved hearing you name drop him as you were being drafted because he was loved here in the Bay Area before he went on to Denver. And then we had a joint practice with the Broncos and you got to chop it up with him.
Yeah, for sure.
What did he share with you during such a pivotal moment before you start your rookie season?
Yeah, growing up in college, I always find people, like I said, I mimic or who I want to, model my game after, who looks similar to me. And DJ Jones is somebody that I watch a ton. Very same, height, weight, very similar. And he was able to give me some love and some game during that Broncos joint practice that we had. And he just kind of told me, some of the games and hey, good steps. You got to have violent hands because we're shorter players compared to some of these 6'6", 6'7" offensive linemen. So you got to have violent hands. You got to get your feet in the ground, and you just got to play relentless. Play relentless with ultimate effort. That's what he taught me.
Yeah, I love to see friendships grow throughout the NFL world, but I want to hear about some friends that you might have in college that are declared for the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any friends that you're maybe like nudging your coaches being like, this guy's a dog, you have to keep him on your radar, or maybe that you're just going to be watching as a fan during the draft?
Yeah, no, for sure. I keep seeing all the little draft boys. I keep seeing my guy Omar come up. So
that's
one guy I'm really hoping we go and get. Man. Omar Cooper, man, that's my guy. He's a dog. like I said, he's another guy who plays relentless. You know, when I play with him at Indiana, he just doesn't care what the situation. He's just going to go out there and ball. He doesn't complain. Just a great dude all around. And, I mean, Indiana has a ton of guys coming out. We got Mikhail, Aiden Fisher, got D'Lo Pons, Dog, cornerback. You know what I'm saying? So got plenty of guys. I'm just excited to see them all, you know, go out there and work and perform and do their thing.
How hyped were you watching the national championship go down? I was thinking of you the whole time, CJ.
I was so hyped because nobody believed it. Nobody thought we were like really that good. I'm like, we were good. Like people don't see it. But, like I was in the building. I was around the coaches. I was with Coach Signetti. You know, I was with Coach Kuntz. I'm like, man, we're good. And they're just going to keep getting better every year.
Yeah. And I'm a Cane. I graduated from Miami, so I was your rival in that one. No, it's okay. I give all props to the Indiana team and Fernando Mendoza. But I saw how, because you didn't necessarily play with him, right? He came in just for this past season.
But I did get a chance to chop it up with him, you know, during the pre-phase of before I was going, you know, get drafted and stuff. I got a chance to chop it up. Man, he's a great guy.
Yeah, his story is amazing. Excited to see how it all shakes out in this year's draft.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of buddies, you're really great at making buddies just in this Bay Area. It'd be great to get some of your college buddies here, but in general, you're really great at being involved in our community. And you were just recently at the Foundation for Success event where you're speaking to high school students. You were really open about your journey with having a speech impediment growing up.
Yeah.
How has that kind of shaped how you are as a player and in your journey now today being in the NFL spotlight?
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said, growing up, I had a bad stutter. I had a really tough stutter. I couldn't really get up and talk in front of people. I always get nervous, you know, speaking to people. And it'd take me some time for me to get my words out. And sometimes it still comes out, you know. But throughout high school, I really practiced that. I wanted to get better at that because I knew eventually one day I would want to speak in front of people, be on the broadcasting, or just do whatever. And, I mean, it can take you so far in life just learning, you know, how to speak properly and, you know, getting those things down. So, yeah, that was a struggle for me, but that was something I really wanted to work out, get better at, and I grinded for that, man. I grinded for a long time, and now here I am being able to kind of, you know, put a full sentence together.
Well, look at you on the podcast, cameras and all. I love it. And you did some theater stuff, so I heard that was great.
Yeah, I did all of that to kind of benefit, you know, my speech impediment and the stutter that I had.
So awesome. And you also recently spoke about, and you have just in general, about your mom and how big of an inspiration she's been for you. How is her reaction now to where you're at today?
Yeah, I would say to her it's still like surreal. You know, just the things I'm able to do. Watching me on the TV, or, you know, coming to those games with packed out crowds in the playoffs. It's all surreal, and it's still surreal for me. You know, these are some moments that you always dreamed of, and sometimes you never even thought it was possible. But, you know, you're grinding for it, you're reaching for it, and hopefully you can, you know, get to that point and grasp it. But it's all very still surreal to me, very much,
That's awesome.
What was your favorite moment this year? Like that moment you're standing on the field, you're looking around, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Ooh. Obviously my first sack was like an awesome moment, but I would say my favorite moment, I remember this vividly, is the first game versus Seattle, week 1, packed out on Lumen Field. The Jets are flying past. I'm like, man, like this is stuff you see on movies. You know what I'm saying? When they make a football movie, this is stuff that you imagine to see, but I'm really experiencing this like right here on this field right now. My cleats are in the turf. I'm around some great guys. I'm playing for the 49ers. I mean, like, and what more could you ask for? You know, it was awesome.
Week 1 was absolutely one of my favorite memories from last season. Also, I loved seeing you and Michael like get hyped up right before the game, and you feel the energy of Lumen Field. However, were you surprised to see all that red in the stands?
Man.
And how impressive are the faithful on the road? Have you ever seen something like that before?
I didn't know like the faithful were that strong before.
They're called faithful for a reason.
And man, when I, you know, going to these games, going to where do we play? New Orleans as well.
New Orleans.
We went to New Orleans, the Seattle game, seeing all the sea of red. I'm like, man, is this our stadium? Like, what's going on? And when we went to LA.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah, that was always a moment. But you know even as far as New York.
Right, New York.
Jackson Dart was talking about it.
All the way across the country. I'm like, man, our fans are some dogs, too. We got some
dogs. I love it. Dogs in the stands, dogs out on the field. Now, I want to hear some advice you'd give to whoever gets drafted by the 49ers this year.
Man, it's going to be a grind. Like, one thing we do, we work here. You know what I'm saying? So just keep your head down, man, grind, and everything will be all right. You know, just do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and you'll be all right, man. You'll definitely be all right. Everybody here is welcoming. Everybody here is lovely, man. And we just got a good staff, good support, great players, you know, and we have a very high standard, so it's awesome.
That's sweet. Now, a little birdie told me that you have a Corvette. And I just want to hear more about this. Was this Corvette kind of a purchase of a welcome to the NFL purchase type of moment for you, or have you always been into cars?
So I've always been into cars.
Okay.
Growing up, like I would see a car driving past, tell my mom, "Oh my gosh, mom, look, it's this car, this model." Like that's always been my thing. I've been a car head, and actually, it wasn't my first purchase. I honestly got it well into the season, and I saw one. I was like, man, can I fit in a Corvette? It was always my dream car growing up. Always my dream car. I'm like, man, can I fit in a Corvette? So I went on a test drive. I fit in there. I was like, I'm walking out with this.
Oh my God.
You fit and it felt good?
Yeah, it felt good. I fit in it. It sounded perfect. It's purring. I'm like, oh man, I love this. So yeah, I'm a big car guy. I put a lot of work into my car.
Does she have a name?
Yes.
What is it?
Her name's Baby Lotto.
Baby Lotto. Now I want to wrap it up and do a fun game with you before you leave our studio. Let's draft something random. We've talked all about football this podcast, which I know is our bread and butter and our heart. We love football. But let's draft some random things. CJ, give us your top 6 since we're drafting 6 guys in this draft, or we're scheduled to make 6 picks. Your top 6 classic movies in CJ's roster.
Classic movies. Number 1, I'm going to have to go The Dark Knight, Batman. It's probably one of the best movies ever.
Off the board? First off the board?
Number 2, I'm going to have to go Interstellar. Top
Okay,
tier.
classic.
Long movie.
Top tier. It's long,
movie.
very long, very long. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with Amazing Spider-Man, the OG Spider-Man.
I'm seeing a trend here. Okay.
Yeah. Number 4, Shutter Island. If you've never seen
Great
Shutter
movie.
Island, such a good movie.
Okay.
Where we at? We got 4. I need 2 more. Let's
more.
see. I'm gonna have
The
to
late
go.
gems.
I'm gonna go with number 5, like Fast and Furious 3, or whatever one they was in Tokyo.
Okay.
That one, the
Tokyo
Tokyo
Drift.
Drift one, top tier Fast and Furious movie. I love that one. And they kind of just kept going with them. But
Car guy.
anyways,
Car guy.
I'm
Makes
a car
sense.
guy.
Yeah.
Last pick.
Last pick.
Mr. Irrelevant. Not so
Last pick.
irrelevant.
I'm a big horror movie guy. I love
Really?
horror movies. I love scary movies. Number 6, I'm gonna have to go Insidious. Yes.
Clutch my pearls.
Yes, I love that movie.
Okay.
I remember actually like vividly getting like real life nightmares watching that movie when I was young.
And you're like, yeah,
love
that's
it,
gotta
though.
go. It's my
I
favorite.
can't believe
I
that's
love
on
it,
your
though.
draft board.
I love it though. Insidious is a great scary movie.
What if we did cars? Because you're a
Yeah.
car guy.
Yeah.
Can we do top 6 cars?
Top 6 cars, of course.
You gotta do Baby Lotto.
Corvette is number 1.
Baby
So,
Lotto,
my dream car growing
specifically.
up. Corvette's number 1. I'm gonna have to go Trackhawk number 2. Love that car. Number 3, sneaky, but AMG 63S is fire.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna have to go. I would never buy this car, but a Bugatti Chiron is fire. Some of the fastest cars in the world.
Just never say never.
Yeah, never say never. What we got? 4. Number 5, I'll go with. I like Chargers. I like the Hellcat Chargers. Those are
Okay.
pretty sick.
Fine.
I wouldn't get one though. Too many people.
You can't. Also, like, Chargers, it reminds me of LA. No, we're not gonna-
Too many people have them.
That's so
I'm
funny.
gonna have to go to number 6. I'm gonna go with old school Chevy SS.
Nice.
Old
I
school,
like you throwing
old
it back to
school,
an
yeah.
old school car.
Old school Chevelle SS, man. That joint's fire.
That's
love
awesome.
I was actually out in San Jose like a couple weeks ago. They had this whole old school car show.
Were you on
Like,
King
all,
Road?
cool.
all the
Yeah.
old school cars was going past. I'm like, what's going on? Like,
The
this is pretty
lowriders and
dope.
everything. That's
Yeah.
definitely San Jose culture, which is a fun way to be introduced to the
That
Bay
was
Area.
really cool. That's the first time seeing that.
I love
was
that.
Awesome. Had the lowrider, had the hydraulics and stuff.
Yeah.
It was jumping. Yeah,
We might have to
That's
see
your
you
thing.
cruise this summer before we
Yeah.
get into football season. But CJ,
Awesome.
thank you so much for joining us in the studio. We can't wait to see you ball out in training camp, ball out in year 2, and have a successful season.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of The Saloon. We have one more episode pre-draft before all the craziness of the draft comes just next week. We're going to be bringing you guys exclusive coverage of the draft every single day, exclusive interviews, online articles, all fun things, videos. Bree, super excited for the day ahead.
That's right. So make sure you stay tuned to 49ers.com and The Saloon right here on all the podcast networks. So subscribe on YouTube, SiriusXM, and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss a thing. That'll do it for today, and go Niners.